I tell y'all what's on my mind?
Wise out. It's your brother,
Can I get
your
a couple
cousin,
of
your
days
uncle,
off my
your nephew,
chest?
your friend, but I can't be your son as your kinfolk. William Jewell, giving you my detail as I'm articulating. This is articulating. Rap, rap, rap. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn all the notifications on so you can get all the content and new events when I post them. Because you're going to want to hear this outlook. You're going to want to hear this flavor better than your favorite. You're going to want to hear this perspective, right, that I'm going to give you about hip hop. And we see the trend of the women rappers rising. We see them rising in high tide. We see them riding the wave like Johnny Tsunami on a surfboard in Hawaii. We see them riding the wave like someone saying cowabunga in the sewers like a ninja turtle. We see them having fun, acrobatics, martial arts up in this hip hop industry, and I'm no one to deny them. I love when the women are making a case. I love when the women are making their point known. I love a woman that knows how to take charge, that knows how to handle her responsibilities. And JT is none the lesser, right? JT, one half of City Girls, City Cinderella. That's the album. And this album was a good album, right? And why is this a good album, Will? Why do you think that a woman that's only rapping about street, why do you think somebody that's rapping about ratchetness, using men to their advantage, why do you think a woman rapping about sex, rapping about all these things produced a good album? Because on the other hand, we can say that many men in this industry do the same. So it's no different when it's on the other side, but it's just giving you a woman's perspective, a feminine perspective about everything that's going on, right? And so she's talking about her trauma. She's talking about how her dad gave her mom drugs and how that messed up her family. She's giving you some perspective, but still keeping it up tempo, but still keeping it upbeat. She's telling women how to carry themselves as a leader. She's telling women how to handle their business, but still keeping it ratchet, still keeping it hood. She's trying to tell these women how to take advantage of the opportunities that's giving to them. Right? Because she didn't get a Carisha Please YouTube channel out the blue. Little Uzi held her down, but he wasn't giving her any platform for her to voice her opinion on things, to interview people. She wasn't doing anything to give her rise in her celebrity. All he was doing was being a man taking whippings on the BET red carpet for having some type of look at Ice Spice. Uzi did nothing other than just provide his rock star flair, his rock star popularity to her name. That's about it. So from this album, she got it out the mud. She had to really dial in, and whoever was in the studio with her, you could tell this was structured. Right? Although the lyricism wasn't there, right? And we don't expect it to be there. I don't think she was ever that type of artist. She was an artist that was going to make you feel good. She was an artist that was going to make ladies feel confident in what they were doing. And I believe she hit that target right on the mark. I believe for her target audience, she over-delivered for them. She exceeded the expectations for her targeted market. And not only did she do that, she did what Megan Thee Stallion couldn't do. She was able to relate to the men. She wasn't getting too feminine. She wasn't getting too nasty, too freaky in a woman's perspective where it was more tainted for the men to listen to. She was able to get up in that hustling bag. She was able to get up in that trapping bag, using the nostalgic, rhymes, flows, production as our great young Jeezy, right? Because a lot of people have compared this album and the music to the earlier Jeezy, and I can hear it. Oh, I can hear the what they're saying, because this reminds me of Jeezy and the way that she was able to put this album together. It was structured, it was tailored for her. Whoever was producing this music knew that the production had to be so great that all she had to do was give it her swag, give it her essence, give it her personality, and it was gonna make the track work. It was gonna make the songs work. And that's why she capitalized on this album. That's why this album is good, because nobody was really expecting her to deliver a solo project to this magnitude. But I feel like she over delivered and exceeded the expectations, because she stayed within her realm, she stayed within her box, she stayed on her lane, didn't try to get too outside of it, didn't try to do too much. But she was given a direction. She was given some guidance when it came to rapping, when it came to structuring these songs, and when it came to that Jeezy imprint influence. And it was giving her her own taste, her own style in the women's rap game. And I believe now that we got that. And the production, I believe that the production did carry this album, because the lyricism couldn't. And JT, a pretty black woman, right? Even with her features, even with her persona, she couldn't carry this by herself as well. So the production zipped her and her lyrics up in the backpack and said, let's go on a walk. Let's go on a trek. Let's go on a run. Let's go on a sprint, and not for a short time. Let's run for the long distance. And she did that on this album. So it wasn't lyrical, but the great thing about it not being too lyrical for a man's perspective is it was not too feminine. So I believe a male can enjoy this. A male can get into this type of album with not feeling too soft, with not feeling too sweet, with not feeling too awkward or uncomfortable about that feminine energy that JT's releasing, because it's not overwhelming. It's just enough. Right? And I believe that's what she was able to do on this album. And I hate to put Megan down to uplift her, but this is just a comparison. Megan got too freaky, got way too nasty, got way into her woman bag, that outside of women, I don't think that album will be digestible over and over again from a male. But what JT did with this production, and what she did with the minimal lyricism that she had, she made it work, and the structure and the plan and the blueprint all fit right where it needed to be for her to deliver. So shout out to the city, Cinderella, JT, Ice Spice, Y2K, right? And you know, she likes to flirt with the New York drill. And not even say flirt, she's in a full on relationship. She's in a full on engagement with the New York drill. And you can hear it in the grime features that she's done with Central C. Like, she's committed to this sound. And nothing is wrong with this sound, because this is a sound that got her going. This is the sound that made her famous. But when you see Ice Spice, you don't see a woman that should fit in a box. You see a well-rounded woman, a black woman, orange hair, pretty feminine features. You don't see somebody that would fit in a box of a NY drill rapper. So when you going to listen to her music, sometimes it can be underwhelming, because when you see her persona, you think she has more to offer. You think she has more to give than this typical NY drill production rapping. And to be honest, the production was okay, but NY drill, to me, it's an acquired taste, right? It's an acquired flow, and it sounds right when you do it here and there, but when it's done over and over again on each track, it can get redundant, right? It can get tedious. It can get tiring, right? It could get monotone, sounding the same way. It could turn into one big song if you're not careful, Ice Spice. But I believe that she gave her fans what her fans needed to hear, right? I believe this was a quality project when we talk about her lane, when we talk about what she's done in New York and what she's done in female rap in this industry. This is what she was supposed to do. But I don't think she exceeded any expectations. I don't think she took any risk. I don't think she stepped out the box on this one. I don't see her lyricism improving. I don't see any improvements on when she first came in the game to now. I don't see any of that other than her body getting slimmer. I don't see any adjustments that was made. So I feel like she did what she was supposed to do. She delivered the album to her fans. But when we think about the 25 million monthly listeners going away, then we got to really look at what's going on in the whole grand scheme of things, Ice Spice, right? Because if that's true, if you did lose that many listeners on Spotify, then you gotta recreate yourself. You gotta get back in your bag. You can't continue to depend on your looks. You can't continue to depend on that exotic look flavor that you giving people, you know what I'm saying, physically. You got to do it sonically. You got to do it musically. You got to change your flows up. You got to use different productions. Like, you got to step outside the box a little bit and keep one foot in, right? To please your fan base, but also cultivate more and new fans. Because this NY drill shit, it's only going to go so far. It's only going to reach certain regions. It's not going to go past New York. Munch was cool. Other songs you did was cool. But right now you're living on your persona. You're living on your look. You're not living on your music. This album is not going to carry you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the things outside the music will carry you, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe you really don't care about music. And a lot of artists don't care about the music. They don't care about the effort. They don't care about the quality. And maybe that is you. Maybe, you just using this as a way to elevate yourself into other avenues in the industry of business. And I get that. But don't go out and put out a project with no real challenge to yourself. Challenge yourself to be better, whether it be with lyricism. Challenge yourself to be better, whether it be with flows and trying new things and taking risk and being more introspective. Like, challenge yourself, right? Because without challenge, how can we grow? Without change, how can we adapt? How can we evolve without change? And that's the one thing consistent that's going to happen in this life, and that is change. So my advice to her would be to switch some things up, change some things up, and flirt with some other energies and other productions and other sounds. Right? Because after this, we're going to kind of get fed up. We're going to kind of get tired. You probably could do one more project like this, but we're going to need a little bit more. Right? And we like your look. We appreciate your sex appeal. We appreciate your exotic, I guess, flair. But I feel like we need a little bit more. Right? And then we go to Denzel Curry. We go to Denzel Curry, King of the Mischievous South, Volume 2. And it sounded like he did a lot of Project Pat flow. And it sounded very heavily Memphis influenced, like production wise. But he cultivated energy. He cultivated a vibration, a frequency that was hard to not like, that was hard to not appreciate. Right? Because Denzel Curry is a name that we've seen on features. Denzel Curry is a name that we've heard. Sort of like Vince Staples, sort of like Earth Gang, sort of like J.I.D., sort of like some of these guys that haven't really gotten the recognition, some of these mid-tier guys that, people overlook. And when they think about hip-hop, they think about the mainstream. They think that hip-hop has died out. Everybody's sounding the same. But when we come to artists like Denzel Curry, and when we come to what he can do and what he's done so far in his rap game and his longevity, we got to give him praise. We got to show appreciation for what they've been able to accomplish. And Denzel Curry, Right, I'm a fan of Denzel Washington. I wasn't a fan of Denzel Curry. I've heard a project from Denzel Curry before, but I was not impressed. Denzel Curry was cool, but him as a solo act, I wasn't impressed. And when I heard this, like, he really did his thing. He really went in. He really vibrated at a higher frequency. He gave us the quality of the South. He gave us the quality of the production. Right? And then he also gave us those features. He gave us those guests that would also amplify the sound, that would also complement what he was trying to do on these tracks. So whether a lot of features, yes, but they were the missing piece of the puzzle. They fit in very well. The only thing that I have against these features, who are you as an artist? How do you sound by yourself? Because the last time I heard you by yourself, it didn't really click. It didn't really connect for me. It sounded like you could rap, but it didn't sound like you could stand alone and you could be one guy by himself. It sounded like you needed help. And you did get a lot of help on this album. The features is crazy. Ty Dolla $ign, 2 Chainz. You got a feature from Project Pat, Kenny Mason, Scared. I love that song. Ultra shit. I love that song, right? It's a lot of songs on this project that's pretty good. So Denzel Curry, much love. Because I feel like you kind of sneaked in there a little bit. You kind of been under the radar, and now I can see your location. I can see you beeping. I can see you like really making a name for yourself now. And I think with these features, I think with their production, and I think with that effort, I think people are going to be talking about you a little bit more. Hell, I'm talking about you right now. I wasn't even thinking about this album. I was like, damn, I shouldn't even talk about this album. Nobody's talking about this album. But we got to talk about some of these underground artists. We got to talk about some of these artists that give us these different sounds, that give us these different flows, cadences, that just give us a different type of energy to vibe to than what we're listening to on this mainstream platform. And these guys need to be uplifted. These guys need to be showcased. These guys need to be talked about. Because when we talking about hip hop, people think it's only one type of artist. A Lil Baby type of artist, a Young Thug type of artist, a Lil Durk type of artist, a Roddy Ricch type of artist. Right? A Rod Wave type of artist, a nigga that be singing but can't even really sing without the auto-tune. A nigga that can't even really give you that true lyricism. He could rap a little bit, but you fucking with him more because of the vibe and not because of what he's saying. No, we gotta give the light to the motherfuckers that's gonna say some shit, and we gotta give them our ear and listen. And listen, that's all. And Denzel Curry deserves our ear. He deserves our ear because he's giving us substance. He's giving us nutrients. He's giving us so much value in his lyricism and his wordplay and his consciousness mind of thinking, even coming from the South, even giving you some of these songs that are low vibrational. He's lifting up the frequency when he's touching these flows. So Denzel Curry, shout out to Denzel Curry. I mean, I feel like, hey, this was a good album. The production was there. It's very Dirty Southish. It's very 3-6 Mafia-ish. You know what I'm saying? DJ Paul, Juicy J. And it sounds great. And the wordplay was there. The lyrics was there. The energy was there. The features were there. Like, and it just flowed well. I think it was like 14, 15 tracks, a couple of skits. And nothing that I really wanted to skip. Nothing that was like, I don't really like this. Everything sounded good. Everything sounded cohesive. Everything sounded together, structured, right? A blueprint, a guideline. Everything was organized. Everything just sounded fresh, refreshing, revigorating, rejuvenating. This was something that I was pleased and I was very well appreciated when I heard it. So King of the Mischievous South Volume 2, much love. But then we got to get to those house beats. Then we got to get to those Afro beats. Then we got to get to them dudes that be in the clubs with them snow bunnies trying to vibe out, and that be hard to catch a rhythm because it ain't no real beat. It's just that doom doom doom. Dun, dun, dun. Drake rapping on that dun, 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 dun. Cause Drake, he's with Gordo. I heard Gordo is Carnage. And it's a crazy story. When I was bouncing, when I was working at the club at security, Carnage did a set. So when we think about Gordo, who was previously named Carnage, I saw him live perform right there at the club. And I guess I was appreciative to be in the presence now that I know he's working with Drake. Now that I know he's working with the world's biggest artist, right? Aubrey Graham Drake, right? Who couldn't like Gordo for that? And I think we talk about that Sideways feature. That Sideways song that Drake did, I feel like this is probably the best song, like overall, that he's did since the beef. You know, it doesn't sound like he's trying too hard. It sounds like Drake, and it sounds like a nice, cool bop, right? It sounds like something like you could hear it in the club and it could just get you there, or something that if you're alone, you want to vibe to, kind of get in your feeling sideways. It turned sideways, right? I wasn't the one you wanted. It was just my turn. But now things have turned sideways. That was such a great message. That was such a message that we could relate to as men, that we could relate to as even, human beings. Because sometimes we don't own a person. Sometimes a person is not not underneath our ownership. Right? It's just our turn to be with them. It's just our season. It's just our time to experience them and love them, show them love, and receive it from them. And then where it goes from that, whether our stories continue to intersect or whether our lanes continue to go outwardly from each other, right? That will be a time, that will be a memory that will be forever imprinted in our brain. And Drake, you really related to the men and women on all levels with that song Sideways. Now, Healing, I feel like Healing, the sample of it, it really carried the song. I don't like Drake's flow, really. I felt like it was kind of like off tempo, and maybe it might be hard to be off tempo on a house beat, but it just sounded like it was a second too slow. But it was cool, but, I didn't love it. I admire Drake for still putting out music, for Drake still putting his best foot forward. But I wonder when he's going to rap, right? Because pretty much he's doing everything Kendrick said he should do, right? He's following the blueprint exactly. I don't like Drake with the melody. I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough, right? Many people have recanted that phrase and seen what Drake has done. Camila Cabella, he was singing on that. What going on, Delilah? He was singing. The only thing he rapped on was the Sexy Red track, and he tried to do it on BBL Drizzy and failed extremely bad. Hey, babe, you my everything. Well, everything has been going down the drain. Everything has been spiraling, right, since the beef. And Drake, I believe Sideways might help you make a turn in this race, but I don't think that's going to be enough to really lift you out of, bad feelings, right? Because some people still is not vibing with Drake, so I don't think this song is going to be enough to lift him out of that hot water. I think this could make the water turn lukewarm. This could help him cool down a little bit, but I don't think this is going to save him. And although he's continued to put out music and think people are going to forget and people are going to just vibe out to him, he just hasn't been able to do it. And I don't think he will be able to do it with these singles. I don't think Gordo could do it for him. I don't think no matter what he does on a house beat, no matter how much he sings, until he raps, until he really reestablish himself as a great MC, just like Ab-Soul said, if he wants real redemption, he has to show it, right? Not with just talking, not with just his bravado, not with just the IG post, the sneak dissing that he always does, but just getting in the studio, getting in the lab, and really just revitalizing everything that people say was taken from him in the battle with Kendrick Lamar. And one thing that was not taken from him was a king, was a GOAT, was Wheezy. Weezy F baby, please say the baby. If not, don't you motherfucking say it at all. Yo, if you don't call him Wheezy, then you don't say the baby. Shut the up, shut the up. That Carter 2 Wayne, right? That was the conscious Wayne. That was a Wayne that could give you that flow, but also give you that substance and give you that lyricism at the same time. Right? And he showcased that same relevance. He showcased why we need to have reverence. He showcased why he is a lyrical reverend. He showcased his ability as a GOAT in the game. Lil Wayne, Saturday Mornings, featuring Corday. And people said he was talking about Drake. Like, people on the internet want to make up these stories and make up these fake narratives. Because he said Teddy Graham, Teddy Bear. He had a flow, he had a line in there. Like, no. Wayne is Wayne. Wayne is that dude. Wayne been that dude. And you got to think about the production that they put him on that beat. They had the sample. And Corday was rapping. Right? If you give Wayne a great alley-oop, he's going to slam dunk it. And really, to me, my personal favorite Wayne is when he's rapping. Rapping something about something. Something of substance. Something of consciousness. Something outside of skateboarding, being a rock star, having women, you know what I'm saying? Or braggadocious. Just something about the people that the people need to hear. Right? And he gave us that line. Knee on his chest. He gave us that line. You know, he need more amens than yes mans. Right? He needs prayer. He needs help. He got a little introspective. Right? And I think that's the Wayne that we need. And I hear the critics. Wayne is doing great on these features. He does great when he's with other artists as guest appearances on their songs. But we need a good album, Wayne. We need something more than The Funeral gave us. We need something more from the Carter 6. And if you can deliver that, then we will be satisfied. If you can deliver that, then from the masses' point of view, you will be uplifted into that next segment. Although Wayne is my greatest rapper, although he's my favorite rapper of all time, because he grew up with me. He was in the era when I was a young, impressionable man, from the age of 10 all the way to the age of 22. Wayne was there. He was giving us music. He was giving us stuff to listen to. He was giving us advice. He was giving us ideas. He was giving us creativity. He was giving us swag. He was giving us the dreadlocks. He was giving us the tat. He was giving us the cultural influence. He was giving us the trend setting. He was giving us everything that he could give us. While the drugs, while the lean was continuing to take and take from him and take his hairline and take a little bit of the texture of his dreads, and they was continuing to take from him. But as they took from him, he continued to deliver. He continued to stand 10 toes down on business and give us Wayne, Wayne Carter. And then you don't stop. Rick Ross on the track. That also raises a couple of eyebrows because of the tension and the beef that Drake had with Rick Ross. But you can tell by this track they wasn't in the studio with each other. Otherwise, Rick Ross might have gave us a little bit more energy. And I like the way Ross rapped on this too. He kind of got out of his old flow, kind of weaved back into his traditional flow, and then got right back out of it. So performance-wise, I think Ross did a great job. Lyrically, he could have came better once we hear what came from Wayne. He said, "Oh, your mic, Beck for the Tyson." Hey, he just said something so heavenly. He just pretty much just gave us that lyricism that we needed. Just those punchlines, those classics Wayne punchlines that we look for from him. And he's continuing to thrive. He's continuing to revive his career. And as long as he continue to give us these type of verses, and like I said, to be honest, 2023 could have been Wayne's best feature year. Even though J. Cole was given credit, but Wayne had more verses out there than Cole, I feel like, in that year that was really crazy. And then 2022. And he's continuing on this crazy feature run in 2024. So from 2022 to 2024, Wayne's been on a crazy feature run. Guest appearances, guest verse, and pretty much he's been undeniable. And pretty much no one can really say anything bad about what he's said, what he's done. Like, he's reviving his career right before our eyes. And not that it was dim, not that it wasn't as bright as it was before, but I think he wasn't shown the same respect that he was when he was calling himself the best rapper alive. I don't think that our generation really gave him the flowers that he deserves. They still talking about Hove. Hove did 444. Hove is not giving us these guest verses. Hove is not as busy in the hip hop scene as Wayne has been over the course of his years, because he has other businesses. He has other things that he tends to. And when we think about the passion, when we think about the mindset of Lil Wayne to continue to give us this greatness and continue to deliver on these beats the way he's been doing it, right, for since he was a youngin', you know what I'm saying? He was in the game at 12, right? He was in the game at 12. He's 42. He's been in the game for 3 decades, going strong. The same fervor, the same fire still burns within him, and you can hear it and you can see it and you can feel it when that lighter flicks on the track and Wayne just gives you the best of himself. And I know he's aged as far as looks go. I know he doesn't look as young as some of his contemporaries. I know he looks a little bit older. I know some of the hard drugs that he probably didn't do him any favors in this older stage in his career. But if we just put our sunglasses on, our beer goggles, right, and just open up our ears and listen to what he's doing, then, you know, what else could we do but show love, gratitude, and appreciation? So, I mean, I kept it all music, right? I kept it all music. I ain't want to get on to no messy shit. I ain't want to talk no politics. I ain't want to talk about, you know what I'm saying, just bullshit that goes on in the media. I think it's refreshing to keep it about rap, to keep it about hip hop. And then damn, that DJ Mustard. Man, it's a lot of music that been dropping. There's been a lot of music that been dropping. So DJ Mustard, Bando Stone and the New Future. There are a couple of albums. So let me just, I wanted to kind of backtrack, give y'all that JT, give y'all that Denzel Curry. Ice Spice, it was a quick listen, you know what I'm saying? And it was easy to dissect. Of course, you got the singles from Drake and Wayne. That was easy to do. So let me double back with y'all. I might come back on Wednesday, but I might wait till next week because I feel like when I can sit with an album long enough, I can really give y'all a good critique. I could really give y'all a great articulation in how I feel about these albums. So I think I have to do the artist that type of service and try not to just come up with a quick reaction, because those quick reactions are sometimes not the greatest thing to do if you haven't given an album enough spins and let it really sit with you. So I gotta do it in accordance to the art, right? Because they ain't sitting down for 1 minute in writing a verse. They taking their time. They carefully crafting each song, and how they're going to let these albums track lists go and all these other things. So we gotta show it the same type of appreciation. So, man, it's your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but I can't be your son, that's your kinfolk, William Jewell. Giving you my detail as I'm articulating. This is articulating. Rap, 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 rap.